become a displacer beast, or summon an army of displacer beasts, or summon a black hole that only affects enemies, and even gain the ability to fly. Hey guys, Omaha here. Today I'm going over every Illithid power in Baldur's Gate 3. I'm going to show you what they all look like, what they do, and how they affect enemies. I'm also going to show you a couple secret ones, as well as a big secret at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. Alright, to start it off, we have Illithid Persuasion. This one's going to be unlocked automatically. It's a passive feature. You can use your connection to the parasite in your brain to force cultists of the Absolute to obey you. So how this is going to work is there are certain conversations in the game, like this one, where the narrator will mention that they have the mark of the Absolute.
A strange symbol glows, marked on their flesh, and something within you stirs in response.
So the narrator will mention that they have a mark on their face, and that will give you a unique dialogue choice. So it's usually a pretty easy check. Now here it's a wisdom check, and you have advantage. So only a difficulty class of 2. Pretty straightforward. And that ability is going to recharge on a long rest. So I'm going to start with Survival Instinct, as it is kind of a secret one. You have to do a quest to unlock it. So what Survival Instinct's going to do, it's going to infuse a creature with Psionic Force. If it reaches 0 hit points, it heals instead of falling unconscious. And this recharges on a short rest. And that'll do 3 to 12 healing. So using that on an ally, he'll gain the condition Survival Instinct for 3 turns. And then if he goes down, he gets back up. And he gained 5 HP. Okay, so to start this quest, you're going to want to head to the Underdark Myconid colony. And up here in the upper right corner, you'll find a trader named Blurg. He's a hobgoblin. You want to talk to him, and then you'll want to tell him that you were infected with a tadpole. You'll basically want to explain the whole story to him, and he'll summon his friend Omelium.
I hope this is important, Blurg.
So he's going to ask you if you're looking to have it extracted. You'll want to tell him yes. Then you'll want to open your mind to him. Then you'll ask him if he can extract it. And he'll mention he has an idea. He'll tell you he needs fresh Tongue of Madness and Timask spores. So to find these, you're going to want to head down to the southwest part of the Underdark to the Arcane Tower. Once you reach the tower, you're basically going to want to go 1 level lower than what the stairs lead you to, and that'll be the greenhouse area. Inside this greenhouse area, you'll find both the Timask spores and the Tongue of Madness mushrooms. You'll then head back to the Myconid colony and speak to him. So he's going to prepare a potion for you with those mushrooms. And whoever drinks this is the one that's going to get the Survival Instinct's power. It's going to make you roll a couple saving throws. So no matter what, whether you pass or fail the saving throws, it's going to strengthen the tadpole in your head. He's then going to offer you the Ring of Mind Shielding, but you'll have to pay up for it. For me, it was 175 gold, so it's not too expensive. So it's going to give you advantage on saving throws against being. The next secret I want to share with you guys is this passive feature called Awakened, which lets you use all of your Illithid powers as bonus actions. So to get that, you're going to have to make your way to the Githyanki Creche, and you're going to have to go to the infirmary. So to get there, you'll want to head to the Emerald Grove with Lae'zel in your party and talk to this guy named Zoru. And he'll tell you about the Githyanki Creche. It'll mark it on your map, and you go ahead and go towards that. Once you get to the creche, you're going to want to head to the infirmary. You're looking for the Zaithisk. So you'll tell her you're infected, and then she'll tell you to go to the Zaithisk. Checks. Now be careful before you do this. You're gonna have to perform 3 different saving throws, and they're pretty difficult. If you miss any of them, you're gonna get permanent debuffs. If you fail 1, you'll get -2 Constitution, and if you fail 2+, you're gonna get -2 Intelligence. And after some patches, I think they made it so you can use tadpoles to get rid of these debuffs. And you want to make sure you go inside of it instead of Lae'zel. Just convince her to let you go first. Here's the first saving throw. Second one, you're going to have to roll a 15 in Wisdom. And then the third one, you can choose between Constitution, Intelligence, and then for me as a Druid, I had Wisdom as my third option. And that one was an 18 for me. And this is going to give you the quite overpowered passive feature Awakened. So you can use all of your Illithid powers as a bonus act. Your resistance to the Zaithisk and the Githyanki Infirmary awaken this power. So what makes this crazy strong is if you're using like a monk class or something where you get extra bonus actions, you'll be able to use multiple Illithid powers in 1 turn. And you're gonna have to pass all 3 of those saving throws. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get this ability. All right, so I'm going to go over these powers in a clockwise direction, starting with the first ring right here. Then I'll move to the second ring. Then finally, I'll go to the outer ring. So first up, we have Psionic Overload. Your attacks deal an additional 1 to 4 psychic damage, but you take 1 to 4 psychic damage every turn. That'll last 10 turns, and it recharges on a short rest. And on my next turn, I'll swing, and it adds the 4 psychic damage on top of my normal damage. Then when I end my turn, you'll see I take 2 psychic damage. Next up, we have Favorable Beginnings. This is a passive. The first attack roll or ability check you make against any target gains a bonus equal to your proficiency bonus. So that'll basically just make it easier to land your first hit the first time you attack an enemy. So here I have a proficiency bonus of +3. And here when I swing my first attack on this target, here it'll show my attack roll, and it adds, there's the +3 bonus that I got. So it gave me an 18. Next up we have Force Tunnel. Charge forward, pushing all objects and creatures in your path 13 feet away from you. And it doesn't provoke opportunity attacks, has a range of 30 feet, and it recharges on a short rest. So here's what that's gonna look like. Next up, we have Concentrated Blast. This is going to do 3 to 18 psychic damage initially, and you must be concentrating on another spell to cast this. If the target was concentrating, you heal as much as the damage that was dealt to it. So that's where the 3 to 18 conditional healing will come in, and then the spell you were concentrating on will end. And you can use this once per turn, and it has a range of 30 feet. And if she was concentrating on a spell, I would have healed for 12 since I did 12 damage. And then our final power for the first ring is Transfuse Health. Sacrifice half your remaining hit points to heal a target for the same amount. That's got a range of 30 feet. All right, so here you can see I have 59 HP. Use Transfuse Health. He currently has 22 HP. So I lost 29 HP and healed him for 29 HP. All right, moving on to the second ring of abilities. We've got Ability Drain. Passive feature, once per turn, when you make an attack roll, the attack reduces that target's corresponding ability by 1. The ability that is reduced is the same as the one used to make the attack roll. So for melee weapons, usually strength, ranged weapons, it's dexterity. And for spells, usually your spellcasting ability. And so for me as a druid, that would be wisdom. All right, so if we look at this character, she has a wisdom of 10. So here I'll hit her with Thorn Whip. So for one turn, her wisdom's been reduced down to 9. Next up, we've got Luck of the Far Realms, another passive. Once per long rest, you can change a successful attack roll against a foe into a critical hit. So as long as you hit him, you can change it into a critical hit. It's pretty busted. So here I'm gonna hit her. Here we go again. And then it'll pop up asking me if I wanna apply Luck of the Far Realms. So I'll use it, and then it turns it into a crit. Next up is Charm, another passive. Channel the dark allure of the tadpole to charm an enemy that attacks you, preventing them from attacking you until their next turn. So here, if I end my turn, he attacks me, I can apply Charm. So I'll end my turn, this guy's gonna attack me. So he hit me, then I can apply Charm to him. Of course, he can use a saving throw. So here I'll end my turn, this guy's gonna attack me, then I'll use Charm on him. Alright, so here I'll end my turn. This guy's gonna attack me, then I can use Charm as a reaction. Alright, so here I'll end my turn. He's gonna attack me. How do I know? Because I've reloaded this save like 20 times to try to get him to be hit. I'll be able to use Charm as a reaction. This guy's killing me, man. So I ended my turn. She attacks me now, and I'll use Charm on her. Alright, so here I'll end my turn. This dude's gonna attack me. Boom. Use my Charm as a reaction. And he is now charmed, so he won't be able to attack me next turn at all. I don't even think he can attack me this turn either, so. Yep. Next one we have is Displace, and you might have seen this earlier when I used my Force Tunnel attack, because I had it on. So it's a passive. Creature suffering falling damage because of your actions take an additional 1 to 8 psychic damage. Alright, so here I'm going to hit her with my Force Tunnel just to knock her down. And there she took 9 fall damage plus the 4 damage from Displace. Next up we have Repulsor. This will do 2 to 12 force damage, and it'll push anything and anyone back 20 feet. On a save, they're still going to take half damage. It's got a range of 20 feet, uses a strength saving throw, and it recharges on a short rest. Alright, so here's what that's going to look like. That's what the AoE is. Did 7 damage to her and 4 to her, even though she was saved, so it normally would have done 8. Next up is the toggleable passive feature, Cull the Weak. When you bring a creature down to fewer hit points than your number of evolved Illithid powers, it dies and all nearby creatures take 1 to 4 psychic damage. So right now I only have 6, but that's because I've divided them across 4 different characters. There's some other choices that you can make in the game, which will give you more powers. I'll show you that later in the video, just to avoid spoilers for people that don't want them. All right, so here, if you click at the bottom on passives, you'll see it here. You can toggle on and off. Right now it's on. All right, so here I've got him down to 17 health. On this character currently, I have around 14 or 15 Illithid powers. So as long as I hit, they should die next turn no matter what. And then it should do psychic damage. So there, he died, did 2 psychic damage to himself from the explosion, and she took 3 psychic damage. Now we have Psionic Backlash. This is a passive. When an enemy within 30 feet casts a spell, you can use your reaction to inflict 1 to 4 psychic damage to the caster per the spell's level. Alright, so here I'm going to end my turn. Alright, so this guy's casting a spell on me, and then I'll be able to use Psionic Backlash as a reaction. And there I did 4 psychic damage. Next up is Shield of Thralls. Conjure a volatile shield around yourself or an ally, granting the target 10 temporary hit points. If these temporary hit points are lost due to incoming damage, the shield bursts, possibly stunning nearby foes. So the shield will last until a long rest or until it breaks. And then when the enemy is stunned, they'll be stunned for 1 turn, and they won't be able to take actions, bonus actions, or reactions. And you can only have temporary hit points from one source. So this has a range of 30 feet. It's an intelligence saving throw, and it recharges on a short rest. All right, so here it is. I'll use it on myself. There, I've got my 10 temporary hit points down here at the bottom. I'll end my turn. There, my shield broke, and it stunned her for 1 turn. Perilous Stakes. Invest a creature with power that heals it when it attacks, but also makes it vulnerable to all damage. So you're going to take twice as much damage from all damage types. That'll last for 3 turns. And the healing that you get is 2 to 16 healing. Has a range of 30 feet, and it recharges once per long rest. All right, so here I'll use that on myself. And then when I attack, I healed for 10. And when I end my turn, I'll probably just get absolutely nuked. This guy will probably just kill me actually in 1 turn. Oh. 22 damage from 1 shot. You missed the other 2 though. Just kind of surprising. There she did 18 and 22. So I don't really think it's worth it most of the time. There might be some instances where it's good, but for me, I just didn't really like it very much. And then finally, for the second ring, we have Stage Fright. Your targets have disadvantage on attack rolls, and they take 2 to 12 psychic damage each time they miss. So disadvantage is where it's going to roll 2 dice and use the lower value, and the attack roll is what determines whether they hit or not. They're already going to have a harder time hitting you, and every time they miss, they'll take that damage. That'll be for 3 turns, and they'll overcome their Stage Fright early when they succeed on an attack roll. So if they hit you, this will end. Has a range of 60 feet, uses a wisdom saving throw, and it recharges on a short rest. All right, so here, I'll use this ability on these 2 guys. Afflicts both of them. I'll end my turn, see what happens. You shoot with an arrow, miss, he took 4 damage. He hit the second time, so that'll end it for him. All right, before we move on to our third set of powers, I just want to quickly explain that to get these powers unlocked, you have to reach a certain part of the game. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that. If you don't want any cutscenes or who you speak to spoiled, go ahead and skip to the next chapter. But if you're paying close attention, you'll probably still get it slightly spoiled because of what happened. So just be warned, this is your spoiler warning, and let's get on with it. Okay, so when you get to the end of Act 2 and you go towards Baldur's Gate, you'll end up in this camp here, and to progress the story, you're going to want to go to bed. Basically what's going to happen, a portal's going to open up, and some Githyanki monks are going to come out and attack you. And your goal here is to get to the portal as fast as possible. You have 3 turns to get to the portal. When you go through the portal, it'll bring you to a new area called the Astral Plane. When you get to the bottom of the skull, you're going to come across a mind flayer named the Emperor. And this is the guy you're going to want to help out in this fight. He's going to tell you that the Githyanki is the source of your protection against the Absolute, and he wants you to help him basically fight off all the monks. So he wants you to help him, so then you team up with him and defeat all the monks. In my experience, he's pretty useless in this fight. He didn't really help me the 3 times I've done it so far. So he's gonna tell you you too should embrace the change that he underwent. If you want to do so, you say, I would like that.
I am pleased to hear that. You will do very well as an Illithid. I've been studying you for a while now. I believe I can trigger the next stage of your tadpole's life cycle while continuing to preserve your independence.
He's gonna ask you, would you like to evolve? This is what's gonna turn you into a half Illithid.
Truly something special. Now, hold out your hand.
And he's going to hand you a different looking tadpole.
It wants to evolve, but it cannot do so alone. It must commune with another.
You have 2 options if you want to evolve. You can eat it, which I don't recommend, because when you eat it, you're the only one that's going to be able to use it. And then you can open your mind to the tadpole. So opening your mind will let you keep the tadpole, and then you can let others use it as well.
A coldness seeps through your veins as the tadpole awakens, its yearning almost unbearable. Your mind is a veritable feast. The tadpole's essence courses through you. Where it touches, your flesh, glands, organs contract and flood with pure thought. You feel
And the visual change
your body has
is a little
never
bit
felt
drastic.
more connected. your mind present in every flex of a joint or muscle.
You are exquisite.
There's a couple things you're going to notice when you take the astral tadpole. One is probably the most immediate. You'll have veins all over your face, and your face will be a little bit darker. Number two is you'll have the passive feature partial ceramorphosis. You're in the early stages of transformation, gaining access to more aberrant powers as you evolve your Illithid potential. Basically, it just tells you that you've evolved partially. And then under your Illithid powers tree, you'll see that you're partial Illithid. Also in your skill tree, you'll notice that all of the tier 1 powers are unlocked for you, as well as fly. So you won't even have to use tadpoles to get those. So now that I've embraced my potential, I have the 3rd ring of Illithid powers unlocked. If I switch to one of my allies, since they haven't taken the tadpole yet, it's still locked. But if I go to my inventory, you can see here I still have the astral touched tadpole. And if you use another character, you can right click and then click use. All right, moving on to our 3rd set of powers, we have Fracture Psyche. Invade a target's mind and disrupt its defenses. The target's armor class is reduced by 1. That'll make them easier to hit. If the target dies while its psyche is fractured, you can cast Shatter Psyche on another target. So that'll last 5 turns, has a range of 30 feet, uses an intelligence saving throw, and recharges on a short rest. All right, here's what that's gonna look like. So there's her -1 from Fractured Psyche. All right, so here she still has Fractured Psyche on. So after killing her, you'll see down at the bottom right, we have Shatter Psyche, which will reduce the target's armor class by 2. Upon testing, seems to only work on 2 people. Next up, we'll have Illithid Expertise. You have deepened your sense of self, gaining expertise in persuasion, deception, and intimidation checks. So what that's going to do, it's going to double your proficiency bonus for any checks you make with skills that you have expertise in. So here are my skills before grabbing that power. I have -1 persuasion, -1 intimidation, and -1 deception. Once I grab that power, you'll see I now have +5 in deception, intimidation, and persuasion. All right, next up we have Psionic Dominance. This is a passive feature. When an enemy within 60 feet targets you with a spell of a level that is lower than or equal to your proficiency bonus, you can use your reaction to nullify the spell. Here he's going to try to use blindness on me. I'll counter it with Psionic Dominance, which completely nullifies it. And right now my proficiency bonus is +3, so any spell that's a level 3 or lower is able to be nullified by that. Black Hole. Create a point of intense gravity that pulls in all nearby enemies and possibly slows them. So when slowed, the affected entity's movement speed is halved, and its armor class and dexterity saving throws are reduced by 2. The entity can't take reactions or make more than 1 attack per turn, and can only take either an action or a bonus action. And then spellcast might be delayed for 1 turn. 5 more black holes can be summoned after the spell's initial casting. Afterwards, you must use a short rest before casting it again. The slow will last 1 turn. The spell's a range of 60 feet, uses an intelligence saving throw, and recharges on a short rest. All right, so here's Black Hole. Pretty decent sized AoE. The center point has to have line of sight with whoever you want to hit, but it won't pull anybody that isn't an enemy, which is good. So there I pulled all 3 of them. And then down here, you'll see I have Black Hole again, so I can use it 5 more times before I need a short rest. Next up is Fly. This lets you fly to a target position. Has a range of 60 feet, and all it uses is movement speed, so you can basically replace walking with this. And so it can be used outside of combat as well. There's the range. Good for getting to vantage points. Then in combat, like I was saying, doesn't use an action or a bonus action, so basically just movement speed. You can still trigger opportunity attacks with this though, so just be warned about that. Mind Blast. This is going to do 7 to 35 psychic damage, spew forth a conical wave of psychic energy, and possibly stun targets within. When they're stunned, they can't move or take actions, bonus actions, or reactions. That'll last 1 turn. This has an area of effect of 47 feet, uses an intelligence saving throw, and it recharges once per long rest. Just the big cone right there. Hit all 3 of these guys with it, hopefully. So I hit 2 and the 3rd guy was saved. Did 23 psychic damage to her and 20 psychic damage to him. Mind Sanctuary. Sculpt a magical nexus that allows those within to take actions and bonus actions interchangeably. It has a range of 30 feet and recharges once per long rest. So here's the range that you can cast it, and then this little circle right here is the AoE. So it actually affects enemies as well, but now, since I use that as an action, I can still use another action as a bonus action. Next up, we have Free Cast. This is a toggleable passive feature. That's kind of important, and I'll show you why. You have discovered a marvelous ability with within yourself. Spell slots, charges, and similar resource costs for your next action or spell are removed. Refreshes after a long rest. If you go down here to passives, it's already toggled off for me. And so when I decide I want to use, say, a level 4 spell, I can toggle that on. Then when I use said level 4 spell, it removes the cost completely. But I still have 2 level 4 spell slots. This doesn't seem to work on everything, because when I toggle it on and go to my wild shape charges, you're not even able to use it. I toggle it back off, it'll then show up again. So when you toggle it on, I guess you'll know what you can use it on and what you can't. Here, all these spells are highlighted, so it means you can use it on those. Next up, absorb intellect. So this will do 1 to 8 healing, gobble up a foe's intellect, lowering their intelligence by 1 per turn, and healing your wounds for 5 turns. This has a range of 30 feet, and it recharges on a short rest. I've absorbed her intellect and I've gained 4 HP. So she now has absorbed intellect for 1 turn, where her intelligence was reduced by 1, so it's down to 9 from 10. On her next turn, her intelligence was reduced again, so now she has 8 intelligence, and I gained 15 HP. So I'll end my turn again. From there, I healed for 18, and she got hit by absorbed intellect again, so now she's at intelligence of 7. And that'll go on for 2 more turns, so she'll go down to 5 intelligence, and I'll just keep healing in the meantime. And then last, but certainly not least, this one's my personal favorite, the displacer beast shape. Transform into a displacer beast that can displace itself and enemies and has 85 hit points. Take on the attributes of a displacer beast, but maintain your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores. When your displacer beast form drops to 0 hit points, you revert to your original form. You can only use this once per long rest. And here it finally is. So here's my stat line as a displacer beast. I have strength 18, dexterity 15, and constitution 16. And then my intelligence, wisdom, and charisma stay the same. So you'll get quite a few cool actions with a displacer beast. You have your normal dash, you have your jump, you have your disengage, and then you can dismiss the shape at any time. So your first attack here is going to be Tentacle Whip. This will do 8 to 28 damage, bludgeoning and piercing. Lash out with a sleek spinous tentacle. That has a range of 10 feet. Here's what that'll look like. Next up, we have Illusory Copy. Create an illusory displacer beast to attack nearby enemies. So I go here and I use that. Actually, you can click. There's a pretty big range. Here's the range of it. It rolled an initiative of 2. I'll end my turn. All right, so there he attacked. And he missed, unfortunately, but regardless, still pretty cool. They don't actually move, they're stationary. And then finally, you have Displace, which will do 2 to 16 psychic damage. Teleport yourself and a target to a nearby location, shredding the target's mind and leaving behind an illusory copy of yourself. It has a range of 10 feet, and this uses a bonus action. So the range of 10 feet is just selecting the target initially. That'll expand the range, and then you can choose where to take yourself and her. So it teleports her there, does 8 damage from the displace, and then it leaves behind an illusory copy. And then I can just create another illusory copy, since that's the action. That's an action, and displace was a bonus action. Pretty cool. Now I've got 2 copies out. On my turn, he's going to attack the copy. It has 85 hit points, which is pretty ridiculous. Illusory copy attacks him for 14 damage. Let's see how many of these copies I can get out. There. Doesn't seem to be a limit as far as I can tell. I've got 4 copies out so far. Yeah, guys, I don't think there's a limit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus myself. That's 7 total displacer beasts out right now. And I haven't seen anything that says how many turns they last. If I had to guess, it would be 10. Maybe it doesn't have any time limit at all. I don't know. Long enough to do a whole battle, probably. Now, it doesn't entirely end there. I'm gonna throw out another spoiler warning because it starts to get a little more crazy here. So I don't know how else to say it, but you might not want to see it. If you do, just keep watching. So unfortunately, I don't have any footage of this as I don't have a character at that point of the game currently. But at the end of Act 3, you're going to have the option to undergo yet another transformation. And yes, that's going to transform you into a full Mind Flayer. Also, yes, I'm in Act 2. I had to use an exploit to get the Illithid form in Act 2 because I don't have a character at the end of Act 3 currently. But I did have a character in Act 2. So there is an exploit to get this early. I'm not going to show you guys how to do that in this video, but at the end of Act 2 before you do the final boss. There's a way to transform your entire party into Mind Flayers. One thing to note is undergoing this change has some pretty significant story consequences, so just keep that in mind if this is something you want to pursue. So as a full Illithid, you're going to undergo quite a few changes, a lot of them very powerful. To start, your stats are going to go up quite a bit. Now I have an intelligence of 20, wisdom of 18, and charisma of 18. And to compare, I'll show you what my stats were before. You'll have the condition Mind Flayer form. Affected entity has embraced Ceramorphosis and become a Mind Flayer. Doesn't really mean too much, just tells you you're a Mind Flayer. You'll have permanent Mind Sanctuary. While in combat, Mind Flayers can use actions and bonus actions interchangeably, and that's permanent. You're also going to gain immediate access to some of these other powers if you didn't already have them. And then you'll gain a whole bunch of other powers that are actually enhanced versions of previous powers. So first off, we have Synaptic Consumption. This is an upgraded version of Absorbed Intellect. It's going to do 2 to 20 healing per turn. Devour your foe, lowering all of their ability scores initially by 5 and then by 1 each subsequent turn. Additionally, you regain 2 to 20 hit points per turn. This lasts for 5 turns, after which your target is left prone. So that's going to have a range of 30 feet and use an intelligence save. I'll use that on this blighted actor here. So there, he's got -5 to all of these. And then every turn, they're going to go down by 1 for 5 turns. There he's at 10, strength and constitution. Now he's at 9. He's at 0 for all of these. Down to 8. And there I just healed 45, so I'm healing each turn as well from this. 69 healing there.
Expect anything.
Next up is Nebulous Black Hole. That's basically the same as Black Hole, except now it's going to do 7 to 34 force damage. Here's that. He was hit by Black Hole, and they all took a decent amount of damage. The nearby area is now difficult terrain and can slow creatures within it. Then you also get the Displacer Beast form automatically. It's the same as the normal Displacer Beast shape. You'll also get Fracture Psyche. This time it's actually going to reduce the armor class by 5. Hit him with that. And now his armor class is 11, -5 from Fractured Psyche. Then there's Fierce Perilous Stakes, which is an upgraded version of Perilous Stakes. Grant an ally an additional 15 psychic damage, healing 2 to 16 hit points when they attack. They score a critical hit when they roll a 15 or higher. They become vulnerable to all damage for the duration of this effect. That'll last 3 turns. I'll use it on myself here.
What do I have
Swing.
to lose? Damn. The bruise acquired.
There's 15 and 4 damage. Next up, another buffed power. Augmented Shield of Thralls. Conjure a volatile shield that grants the target 25 temporary hit points instead of 10. If these temporary hit points are lost, the shield bursts and stuns nearby foes. And now you're actually able to target 2 targets. They have 25 extra hit points. Then you've got Strengthened Force Tunnel, which adds force damage. It'll add 7 to 34 force damage. And now instead of 13 feet away, it'll push all creatures 40 feet away from you. Next up, we have Tentacle Whip. This will do 8 to 35 psychic damage. Lash out with your tentacles and possibly stun your target for 1 turn. That's a melee range and uses an intelligence saving throw. 39 psychic damage and he's stunned. Next up, we have Potent Concentrated Blast. This will now do 9 to 54 psychic damage. There it did 46 psychic damage. Then you'll get Mind Sanctuary, just the normal Mind Sanctuary. You already have it for yourself, so you can use it on allies. And then next up, we have Extract Brain. Lobotomize a nearby creature that is stunned, prone, sleeping, or unconscious. So here, I'll use that on this guy since he's prone.
Expect anything. He's been cursed.
So he's hit for 89 piercing. I healed for 25 HP. Next up, you get Levitate, which is basically the same thing as Fly. We get Psionic Overload, which is still the same. Transfuse Health, which is still the same. And then Stage Fright, which is still the same. So now you're also going to get this story-related spell. It's actually a level 9 enchantment spell. You're not actually able to use it, but channel the stone's magic to control the Crown of Karsus and dominate the Netherbrain. Spoiler, the caster must channel the spell until their next turn for it to take effect. And that is it for all of the Illithid powers in Baldur's Gate 3. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. That helps me out a ton. Subscribe if you guys want to see more videos like this. Let me know down in the comments what other stuff you'd like to see, whether from this game or another. And thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.